serious?
Stellaris Astral Planes has just released, and in this video I'm going to review it and try to answer the question, should you buy it? First, I am going to start with the short answer, get that out of the way before I dive into much more context and a bit of nuance. My short answer is, as you might have guessed, not yet. But if you were to ask me the question, have I enjoyed Astral Planes? The answer would be yes, absolutely. So let's dive into why my opinion seems to be split personality at the moment and find out what on earth is going on. I will of course chapter this video, so jump around to the relevant bits you need. What do you get when you buy Astral Planes? First, a new species portrait from the humanoid tree. Not an entire pack, just a single portrait. That portrait does come with a number of brand new clothing options and a few color variants. We also have a new origin, Rift World. Rift World increases the chance that you get astral rifts in your systems by 100%. You also have faster astral rift exploration speed and a lower probability of failing while exploring an astral rift. There's also an ancient crater archaeology site on your homeworld. By completing that, you'll unravel some of the narrative behind this origin and get into the astral rifts just a little bit faster. And that's the main purpose of this origin. It pushes you into astral rifts just that bit faster. You start with one in your capital, a special rift with a special story that is related directly to your origin. I'm not going to spoil any of what happens during this origin, but I do want to say that overall it is very, very similar in some ways to Knights of the Toxic God, except it does not have its own unique mechanics, and the total narrative is vastly smaller than that included in Knights of the Toxic God. Speaking of astral rifts, what are they? Well, you can send a scientist into an astral rift and they will behave very much like an archaeology site. The interface is pretty much the same. You have a difficulty level, a skill bonus from your leader level along with their traits and abilities, and you can build up clues, eventually getting a breakthrough. Unlike archaeology sites, which are entirely linear, the rifts occasionally present branching choices, where you can choose to do one thing or another. Sometimes there are even up to 3 different choices you can take. Depending on the choices you take, that will allow the narrative to unfold in a certain way. You can also fail different rifts. Higher difficulty rifts reduce the likelihood of a successful result at the end of an exploration phase. There are 32 astral rifts to explore with branching storylines and multiple endings. You also need a special technology, the Rift Sphere technology, in order to begin exploring astral rifts. Combine this with the fact that astral rifts start as scars, and those scars may or may not at some point in the future break open and become a rift, and now you can understand why these rifts are generally only accessible in the mid and late game. They are intended to provide more exploration opportunities once the galaxy is already full and you've completed all of the different archaeology sites, special projects, and anomalies out there in the galaxy. And if you're enjoying this video, please rift that like button. Rifts also give us a new resource, that is Astral Threads. Astral Threads can be spent on a new type of action called an Astral Action. There are in total 14 Astral Actions, starting from the very mundane, just getting extra physics research, and moving up to the much more esoteric, like locking down a wormhole, summoning a dimensional fleet, or getting special astral edicts. By completing more astral rifts, you will unlock more and more of these different astral actions. You can also find some of the 8 new relics that have been added to the game. Relics like the Continuum that just grant you a whole bunch of resources when you activate them, or the Time Crystal, or the Celestial Tear. Adding 8 fresh new relics into the game is definitely pretty fun. This DLC also includes a few new music tracks that you can enjoy, as well as 4 new civics, or 2 if you like to play machine intelligences or hive minds. These are the Dark Consortium, which allows you to start harvesting dark matter right from the start of the game. You'll get access to special dark matter edicts, and later on, you can get dark matter technologies without having to fight and scavenge from a fallen empire. On top of that, you'll also unlock a council position, the Shadow Weaver, which lets your researchers just produce dark matter out of thin air. Hyperspace Specialty massively increases your sensor range at the start of the game and gives you knowledge on lots of the local systems. You get some sublight speed and some physics research as well. If you're some level of spiritualist, you can actually start worshipping the astral scars, rifts, wormholes, L-gates, and more by building dimensional shrines in your star bases. You'll get more astral threads and double the chance of any astral rifts appearing in systems you control. On top of that, you'll get a special council position which allows your priests to produce some physics research based on your counselor's level. Last but by no means least is the Sovereign Guardianship Civic. This is being pushed as a tall civic, and unless they change things, it definitely can be. You get a lot of empire size reduction from pops and districts, but double the empire size penalty from planets, branch offices, and systems. This should encourage a playstyle of less planets with more pops on those worlds. If you're a regular biological empire, you'll also get access to the first Citadel Council position. This gives some absolutely insane bonuses when you're on the defensive. Unfortunately, you must be some level of militarist in order to take this, so you cannot pair it with Inward Perfection. If you could, that would probably be perfection. What do I think of Astral Planes? Astral Planes has definitely added a lot of exploration to the mid and late game in Stellaris, an area that has been for a long time lacking exploration. Given the branching nature of Astral Rifts, replayability is definitely much higher than with dig sites, which generally these days I end up just clicking through and completely ignoring the text because I've already read it all before. This means that while there are only, and I say only, 32 Astral Rifts being added, the number of times you can play through those rifts is much higher than 32. The new relics are very exciting to find, and when they're not crap, really interesting. Some of them though have good passive effects and kind of useless active effects. The astral actions are, overall, I think a little disappointing. Some, like the Dimension Lock, are very useful in certain niche situations, whilst others feel like they are very good, but it's just another button you have to click every time it comes off its cooldown. After a few games, I tend to forget some of these powers even exist. For example, summoning the Dimensional Fleet is great, except it only lasts 10 years, and then it goes away and you have to summon it all over again. A number of these actions are also just dedicated to getting more astral threads or doing more astral related stuff. Once you've done them all, yeah, there's not really much more that can be added here. With that being said though, overall I have enjoyed this DLC and I've enjoyed a lot of the extra content that has been added. I've especially liked being able to read through all of these different branching narratives. Sometimes I've actually forced myself to take a save and try out multiple options just because I wanted to see where each of the different paths could lead. But do I recommend that you buy this DLC now? Unfortunately, I think my answer overall has to be not yet. Astral Planes is being priced at $20 or €20, which is the same price as a full expansion. However, it doesn't come with anywhere near as many additional features or mechanics as you would expect at this price point. It is more closely comparable to Ancient Relics, which comes with minor artifacts, minor artifact powers, relics, different things you can do with those, and so on. Yes, that DLC has been improved by the Custodian team over time, but it is still half the price of this one. If Astral Planes is your first DLC, or possibly even your fifth or beyond, I don't think I'd recommend it at this time at this price point. I think I would recommend that you either wait for a sale or wait until there are very few other DLC left to choose between. On the other hand, if you already have a whole host of different DLC and what you're looking for is more narrative, more context, more interesting stories to read in the mid and late game in Stellaris, then I think in a lot of ways Abracam have really knocked it out of the park. Will you get your money's worth for €20 or $20? I think that's really entirely up to you. Astral Planes definitely adds a lot of play hours to the game. The issue is there are good DLC at half the price that add a similar number of features, mechanics, and content. I hope overall you've enjoyed this video and it's helped you make a decision on whether or not Astral Planes is a Stellaris DLC for you. If you've enjoyed this review and you're thinking about getting other Stellaris DLC, perhaps like Galactic Paragons, you can check out my review now by clicking the video on screen here.